So I'm really excited for this shop. It's been growing this year and I'm super stoked. Now, this actually happened to me last year, the same shop, because it existed for 2 years, and something happened here that I want to talk about in this video. I did something that was very not appropriate for the Etsy marketplace, and in fact, that information came from YouTube. I have other successful shops, but this specific one that I applied this technique that didn't really work. Now, YouTube massively warps the definition of how to be successful on Etsy for a very unfortunate reason. Now, it's at no fault at YouTube, nor the fault of the creators. It is the relationship that both of those two have. Now, it brings about 6 very inaccurate informations that I wanted to talk to you guys about in this video. Being successful on Etsy with several different successful shops, and now being a content creator, I see this over and over again. Now, the content creators need to look at the trend. So how is the trend set? The trend is set by the majority of the people. So in regards to Etsy, what does the majority of the people look like? Let's look at the bell curve. Now, this is not really chronological, but follow me a little bit. So on one side, you have people that are willing to invest $5,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 into equipment and really start their business on Etsy and making physical product. And on the other side, you have people that might not have the expensive equipment, or they might, but they're more specifically, they have a specific set of skills that majority of the people don't have, like pottery or sewing. And then you have the majority of the people. Those people usually don't want to invest anything into the business, and they would rather have it be free and they could start from their room. Or the majority don't have a very specific set of skills that is appropriate for the Etsy marketplace. Though they might be special in their own right, but in regards to Etsy, their only skill might be a general understanding of graphic design, and they can figure out Canva. The only 2 sections of Etsy that applies is print on demand and digital product. And then that sets the trend, and content creators make content around those 2 niches. And I'm here to tell you that they do not accurately represent what Etsy is all about. And in fact, they're a very small subset of Etsy. It's a very lonely island, but yet that determines the definition on how to sell on Etsy. And because of that, some of the factors that led me to believe that, hey, I should apply this to my store, that really made my store decrease in sales. And in fact, there are 6 things that I wanted to talk about. Now, the very last one, you guys might disagree, but that was the one that really tanked my store over time, or at least my wife's store. This was her Etsy shop for a long time, and now she wants to do coffee catering, and she gave me that store to take over and start adding new product and new inventory. And I started thinking differently and realizing that there are certain factors that I need to apply to the store now in 2023 that made that growth. And that growth actually is from start of January till now of me recording this video. I just screenshot whatever I had. Now, the first technique that content creates is listing blasting. The idea that you need to put as much listings as you possibly can to be successful on Etsy. That's true for digital products because their competition is so high and their conversion rate is so low. You need to spread throughout as many keywords as possible to get any traffic. And that is another evidence that they're playing with very small amount of traffic in regards to what the traffic is actually on Etsy, because they're sharing a very small amount of traffic among so much competition because the barrier to entry is so small. The only logical strategy is to make as many listings as possible to get that traffic. For physical products, that doesn't really apply. And here's the thing. During the holiday season, I opened up an ornament shop, and I opened it up a little bit late. And so what I did is I opened it up with like 60 to 70 listings, and I advertised them all on day 1. And guess what happened 2 weeks after? A big fat 0 of sales and very, very small amount of traffic. Then what I did is I decreased my advertising just to 5 listings and changed 3 of those listings to take photos of it, make videos, because the 60 to 70 listings I did, the only way for me to do that was to Photoshop those listings. Like take photos of actual product and then just Photoshop on top of it. But then I decided to actually print the design on the ornament and actually take a photo and make a video of each individual listing. With the remaining time that I had during that holiday season, which was less than a month, I made over 200 sales. That just shows you that it's not the quantity, but the quality of listing. And it's not that or that. No, it's physical product. It's just that. It's you focus on the quality of your listing. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm on board of adding new listings. In fact, one of the things that I did was I added more listings to my wife's shop, but it's a specific strategy that I was working on, which I'll talk about in the 6th point. But it's not about, let's say you're selling a t-shirt or a mug and having 1,000 different mugs. No, if you're selling like a t-shirt, do a sweater, do a hat, do a scarf, right? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about adding more products to your store, not the 1,000 variation of one single product, because you're sharing a small subset of Etsy amongst so many people that can do the same thing. The second one is the expectation of high and low expectation. And I want to put true Etsy potential in the right perspective. What happens is oftentimes you'll see this on shorts. They'll show you a digital product store that makes $1 million in sales within a year, and they are saying, hey, look, you can do that because it's pure profit because it's digital products. No, it's not. Advertisement eats majority of those sales if you're selling digital products. And most of those shops do advertise their listings. I've done $1 million in sales on physical products, and that has a better conversion rate and a better profit margins than digital products do. And I can tell you, you don't get to keep $1 million. You're not a millionaire if you made that much money on digital products. You're not. You're just not. Okay, so that's hyper emphasizing because it's shorts. You need to get that hype dopamine thing, or they usually use it in the intros of the videos. And I get it. Okay, I get why they're doing it, but I don't think that's accurate. The second thing is underhyping. Now, this is more accurate, and at least to the digital products, but some people believe that on the rest of the Etsy marketplace is that, well, it's a side hustle, right? You need at least 300 to 1,000 listings before you get any consistent sales. And people say, well, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's a side hustle thing. And that's true for the digital products. And I'd say that's true because the content creators that talk about selling digital products usually go on to making other videos on how to do other side hustle because it's not enough for them to make 9-to-5 amount of money, or they have another job that they do. But that should not shine the light on what Etsy is, because Etsy has so much more potential. If you look at the shop, I did it within 2 months. I made enough, or making enough sales on just that store. If I were to work a 9-to-5 job, that's where I'd start considering like, hey, I actually can leave my 9-to-5 if I keep going with the next 2 or 3 months with the same growth, or at least half the growth that we have been going. That is possible within that amount of time. So the possibilities in 2023 to sell physical products and actually see growth is very possible for you to leave your 9-to-5 job. So don't assume that it's not possible. It is possible. All right, number 3 is being afraid of competition. Now, the equation that digital product brings up to everybody else is this. You go on eRank and you find keywords that have low competition, high traffic. That's the strategy. If you can find that, then that's the product you need to make and you're going to be successful. That doesn't work for physical product. Let's just say you're doing animal cutouts, right? Animal cutouts for crafts for kids. They are going to be doing, for camps or what party favors. And you're actually cutting those out. The people that are doing SVGs of the same animal cutout, when you go on eRank, you're going to see animal cutout. You're going to see hundreds of thousands of competitions. And you're like, that's not worth it for me to do it. But if you have a CO2 laser, do not worry about the competition because most of them are SVG sellers. And the people out of those hundreds of thousands, maybe a few thousands of those actually have a CO2 machine and actually cut it out. So when you're selling a physical product, you need to realize that the competition doesn't really matter anything. All I pretty much look for is there a traffic enough for a very specific type of product. It's not like I'm going to be selling towels, but what about a baptism towels for babies? If there's a large amount of traffic for that product, I don't care how much competition there is. I'm most likely going to do really well if I sell that kind of product. So competition doesn't really matter for physical product because the amount of listings or sellers that are selling a physical product to the amount of customers that are coming in to Etsy is the right proportion. The digital product space, due to the amount of sellers and the amount of listings they're pumping out on each store and the amount of customers coming in, obviously is disproportionate. So they have to worry about it. We don't. All right, number 4 is negative perspective on advertisement. So when you have a low conversion product and advertise doesn't make sense to you because you're going to be spending a lot more money on advertisement if you're selling a print on demand or even digital products because it's a low converting product, which means the content creators will either make videos that have a negative tint or it didn't work for them video, or they won't talk about it at all because it never worked for them. But if you're selling a product that is genuinely a good product and you have a good favor to visit ratio, and I talk about in my other videos that you need to check out, if it has a good favor to visit ratio, you can advertise that product and you most of the time will do really good. You might need to modify some things and do it right. Don't advertise all of them. But anyways, I'll talk about all that in my YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification if you have not yet, because I talk about all these things. And advertisement works amazing. Don't let that scare you. All right, number 5 is fear of fulfilling the orders. Now, people say on digital product sense that, hey, you can be making money while you sleep. Nobody buys anything when they're sleeping. I make a lot of orders on a day-to-day basis, and I can tell you I make 0 sales during the night, so that doesn't really work. But the idea that you don't have to work is not really true for digital products. Like I said, they need to make thousands of listings. They always have to constantly be posting, so that's work right there. Let's just take the schedule of both of those people. There's a person that has a CO2 laser making the animal cutouts versus the one that has to post every day. They both jump on the computer. One is trying to put together the files of the orders, like puts the animal into an Illustrator file so for the CO2 laser to engrave or cut out the pieces. They both sit on the computer. This one's putting out more listing, and this one's putting the order together. They're both on the computer. This one at some point needs to just put in the sheet of wood and turn on the laser cutter to start cutting, and both of them get off from the computer. The machine is working for this guy, and this person just doesn't work, obviously. And so, but then they come back, and then what happens is this one, all he has to do is package the orders and ship it out. That's not that much work. So it's just the way you're going to structure your work. And if you do what you love, like you pottery or sewing, and you actually have a passion for it, you don't mind doing it. Now, there's another third one is if you're scaling your business, you can have employees doing the work for you. And that's kind of where I am. I'm just creating new product, and I create a process and system to where they fulfill the order. So there's so many different ways to do what you love, or not do it if it's too hard, or not do it, have the machine do it, or have your employees do it. So the fear of fulfilling the orders is not that bad. All right, here's number 6. Again, do not be, quick to judge. Wait, hear me out. This is what I did with my wife's store, and I think you guys need to rethink this. SEO does not rank your listing higher, okay? Let me explain. So let's just say somebody is selling animal cutouts that has a paintbrush in it that they can select if they wanted to. That's the full thing. It's a bundle. You can have different animals, or you can buy a bundle of variation of animals. And this one's doing a SVG. This one SEOs the living daylights out of his listing. And he puts the party favor crafts, he makes camp crafts, all the right keywords. And this one just has animal cutouts. Again, this is very extreme, but hear me out. This one's not gonna rank that well. It's gonna be indexed right away correctly on the Etsy marketplace, but it's gonna start from the bottom. And this one is not gonna be there at all, right? On those keywords where it's like, say, camp crafts. But let's just say I'm a camp organizer or camp coordinator that's getting ready for an event. And I'm looking for that product to make crafts. And I come across the SVG. I don't even click on it because I see that SVG file. I'm like, nope, that's not what I'm looking for. I don't have a CO2 machine. And then at some point, I come across the listing that exactly what I want. It has the paintbrushes and everything. Like, this is perfect. And I buy it. The conversion rate is beautiful. Click-through rate was beautiful. Then the algorithm is going to rank it higher even on the keywords that were in the listing. And then another person that looked like me with very similar history of search is going to come along and do the same thing. It's going to buy it. Well, the overlap in those keywords is what's going to establish the SEO for this listing. It will rank on keywords that it didn't even have in the listing. Party favors or camp crafts. It's going to start ranking on those without even the listing even having those keywords. You can say, well, Vlad, but what if they're identical listing? One has SEO, one doesn't. Isn't one going to rank better? No, it will rank sooner. But over time, the algorithm will figure out that these two listings are exactly the same. The algorithm can figure out what your listing is. What the algorithm can't do is create a product that is worth the hype. That is your responsibility. The algorithm needs to be able to figure out these things on its own without the help of the development team, nor the help of the sellers. It needs to function like that on its own because it's dealing with billions and millions of listings that it needs to organize and properly show to the right people. And it doesn't need other people's help. In fact, a lot of the developers of this algorithm or AI oftentimes don't even know how it works or how it functions. And it's gotten so good that it can recognize what your product is and what other products it looks like, and it will just apply those same keywords to this listing. But yet YouTube overhypes the SEO. That's what you need, SEO, SEO, SEO. Get all these subscriptions to all these SEO tools. It's not as important as you might think. It is important. I do SEO to my listings because I want to get sales sooner. But if you don't have SEO, you're just going to rank. If your product is worth the hype, the algorithm will figure your listing out. So how does that apply to my wife's shop? Well, I told her, like, hey, if you could just stay as close as possible to the competitors, you should be good. And that's exactly what she did. And she kept close to the competitors. And over time, she started ranking down. Why? Because she didn't focus on creating a product that is worth the hype. She was just basic. She was generic in terms of her listing. My wife is great, but the product was generic. And so now with the new mindset, I'm starting like, okay, I'm going to put product that is worth the hype. And I started sewing and creating product and listing it on her store. And that's what made the growth. So I'm going to make the best product possible that is worth the hype, and the algorithm starts to figure that out, and that's where I got the growth. So if you are making product that is worth the hype, you need to think about scaling that I talk about in this video, because scaling is a mindset you need to start thinking from order one, because that is what's going to help you increase in your sales, because that's another reason a lot of Etsy shop owners are stunned in their growth, because they're not thinking about what I talk about in this video. So I'll see you there.